Hi friends, today we are going to learn about lexical scope in JavaScript. Lexical scope in JavaScript refers to the visibility, accessibility of variables based on their location in the source code. Example, the physical structure of the code. In simpler terms, lexical scope is determines where variable can be accessed or modified based on where it is declared in the code. Key concepts in lexical scope. The one is scope. Scope refers to the context or region of the program where a variable or function is accessible. Global scope. So variables declared outside of any function or block are accessible everywhere in the code. That is we called as a global scope. And function scope. Variables declared inside a function are only accessible within that function. And the next one is black scope. Variables declared with let const inside a block. Example, within loops or conditionals are only accessible within the block. Lexical scope. In lexical scoping, the scope of a variable is determined by its position in the source code at the time it is written, not runtime. In other words, the environment in which a function is defined, where the function is physically written in, determines which variable can access, regardless of where it is called. Now let's see how lexical scope works. When a function is declared in JavaScript, it remembers the scope in which it was created, not where it is called. This means that the function has access to variables from its outer scope, the scope in which it was created, even if it is called from different location. Example of lexical scope. See, here we have a function. The name is outer function. In that we have a variable called let outer value, and we have assigned with I am from the outer scope. And in outer function there is a one more function is there, we called as we have given as a inner function, and in that we are printing console.line outer variable can access outer variable because of lexical scope. And we are calling inner function in outer function, calling the inner function inside outer function. Now when we call with outer function, the output is am from the outer scope. So this is how lexical scope works in JavaScript. And explanation. The inner function has access the outer variable because it is defined inside outer function, and due to lexical scoping it can reference variables from the outer scope of outer function. The key point is that inner function remembers its lexical scope, the environment where it was defined. So it can access outer variables even though it is executed within the context of outer function. Lexical scope and closures. A closure is created when a function retains access to its lexical scope even after the function has been executed when the outer function has finished executing. This is one of the key feature of lexical scoping in JavaScript. We'll see one example. See the function we named as outer, we have one let variable we have assigned with 0 in outer scope, and inner scope we are increasing with that with using plus symbol. Inner function has access to the counter and we are printing that. So in when we calling with outer function, increment is a closer because this increment is a closer one because this is taking this one, it is a closer one. So closer that remembers the counter variable. So increment output is 1, increment so second time output is 2, increment 3, output is 3. So the inner function forms a closer because it has access to the counter variable which is defined in the outer function even after the outer function has finished executing. Each time increment is called, it still access to the counter variables due to lexical scoping, and its value persists between calls. Summary of lexical scope in JavaScript. Lexical scope is determined by where a variable is declared in the code, not by where the function is executed. Inner functions have access to the variables of their outer functions due to lexical scoping. Closures are result of lexical scoping, where a function is remember its lexical scope even after the outer function has completed execution. So this feature is fundamental to JavaScript, especially when dealing with functions, closures, and asynchronous code. It allows for powerful patterns like data encapsulation, private variables, and function factories. So friends, this is all about lexical scoping in JavaScript. Thank you.